Hey guys, Rob here at 3D Printscape. So I've got several videos I've published over the last couple years kind of talking about tools and accessories you need for 3D printing. Today I'm going to talk about one that it's not necessarily needed, but it replaces the need for most of the Allen wrenches and it makes life a lot easier. But to me it's really nice to have, and it can save quite a bit of time when working with different modifications, that kind of stuff. So this xCool screwdriver set here has most of the Allen wrench sizes you'll need, plus it has different accessories like your screwdriver tips and some drill bits and stuff you can use when working around some of the plastics if you have to modify anything as you're going. I've been using it quite a bit, just messing around with this printer recently because I was putting a laser back on it and then taking it back off to actually do a couple prints, just doing a couple really just modifications and testing different things. And I've liked this quite a bit. It is a little bit more expensive than a standard Allen wrench set, even if you get the T-handled ones, but it is electric, so you're paying for that and the battery essentially. But yeah, I'm going to dive into some of the features of this, and if you have any questions about what I'm covering here or would like to see any other videos, go and leave a comment below or join us on Discord. I'm also going to link to the other accessory videos that I've done in the description below. So if you're looking for other things that could be beneficial, you go ahead and check those out. Most of them aren't dedicated to a single item like this one is. This is just more of a one-off to kind of supplement those videos. But before we get started, I did want to take a couple seconds to talk about PCBWay, who's a sponsor for this video. They are currently having a 10-year anniversary sale, so there's some great options if you're looking for any type of prototyping or for them to do any type of 3D printing or CNC work for you. They've got a lot of different options you can check out, and then with it being their 10-year anniversary, they got some great sales going on. So I'll link to their website below, and if you're working on any projects, I do think it's worth checking out. All right guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the electric screwdriver kit here, and I'll show you why I recommend it over getting like a set of Allen wrenches with the T-handles. Though that said, before we dive into that, I did want to make a note as a reminder, this cannot be your only tool and when working with 3D printers. Like if you're building an Ender 3, for example, you're going to need a larger Allen wrench. So what I do is basically I keep a little set like this, just all the Allen wrenches and stuff that I get from the printers, just throwing it in there. And that way if I need a larger one, I have it when I'm working on the printer. But for most of what I'm doing with the modifications and stuff, the actual screwdriver set here has what is needed. I just wanted to make sure that you guys did know that this isn't a complete replacement. You do need a couple of the larger Allen wrenches. So firstly, the case itself is aluminum, and on the front here you've got a charging port. It's USB-C, and then there's 4 dots under it. That's for the charging light. When it's charged, all 4 of them will be lit. If it's dead, none of them will be lit. And then you just push the button to go and open this up. And then you have all of your bits and different screwdriver tips, Allen wrenches, stuff like that on the front and back here, all magnetically on the actual case itself, which is cool. It makes it easy to not lose things. And then the actual screwdriver itself. So let's pop this out. It is worth noting that you cannot charge the actual screwdriver outside of the case. You have to have it in the case to charge it. But to me, I think that's a plus, because typically for like these little kits like this, I end up losing different pieces because they're not magnetic, or I'd leave the screwdriver around, then I can't find it. So keeping it all together, being kind of forced to, quote unquote, does help. Let's go ahead and look at a couple things here. Top here or bottom, depending on where you're looking at it, you got the spot where the actual bit goes. There's a different size adapter, so this one right here is for the actual screwdriver bits, and then there's a different one if you're actually using the drill bits. Then we go into our actual controls. So this just put the screw in or out, just based on the way the arrow is going. And you got a little LED screen at the top here, which I'll turn on here in a second. And then at the top you have a mode button. The mode button does 2 things. Firstly, it turns it on. If you push it down just once more, you get a LED at the bottom, which is actually pretty nice, especially if you're not in a well-lit area. And then if you hold it down, you can change between the different torque settings. So right now it's on 2. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, or a drill bit. Obviously, if you're using a drill bit, put it on drill. What I've noticed with working with my Ender here is that if I'm working around the board or anything like that, I'm doing 2. If I'm working with any of the fans, that kind of stuff, or just around the case, I'm doing 3 or 4. Most of the time, I leave it at 3. Just a couple of settings there that might be useful. From an Allen wrench perspective, the largest I go up to is your T15, which will meet almost all the requirements for your printer except for some of the actual frame bolts. Those are a little bit larger. So out of the box, it has a drill bit adapter in here. So assuming you're using the bits, you got to take that out. And then once that's off, you can go ahead and put your bit in. And then you can put this tip back on if you want to kind of lock it in place. But if you want to switch out the bits, you have to unscrew it, then swap out the bit, then screw it back on. It'll work either way. But when I was working with the printer the other day, I actually just left this off so that way I can just swap out the different bits as needed without having to spend the time to unscrew it, which is fine in most scenarios. Though when you're done using it, there's not really a spot for the second adapter, so I'll put it back on there so I don't lose it. Just set it off to the side for now. As you would guess, if you hit down, you're tightening it. If you hit up, you're loosening it. Automatically turns on the LED if you don't already have it on. And it's going to run it based on the speed you're going. And it also shows you a battery indicator here as well. One other thing I wanted to point out is the case itself is magnetic, so it holds the bits in. But the actual bit itself isn't, so it is safe to work around your main boards, that kind of stuff. But that pretty much covers it. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward tool. I like it a lot. Like I mentioned, this is the replacement to what I would recommend instead of like a Allen wrench with the T-handles. It's just all condensed. It's easier to use, and a lot of times the issue I was having with some of the T-handles were when you're actually using it or trying to work with the printer, the handles are too wide that you're hitting things around it. This is nice and slim, so it's a little bit more expensive than a Allen wrench set, but to me, I like the all-in-one kits like this, where you, as long as you don't lose anything, because it just makes things simpler. Just swapping between the different bits, I have everything all in order, and it's just easier. And with the case set up the way that it is, it makes keeping everything organized much easier than a lot of just the standalone Allen wrench kits or whatever, just because it is magnetic and you know if something's missing. And it's also the charger, so you kind of have to have everything together anyways, at least if you want to use it. So like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm going to update the link on my accessory video that I did like a couple years ago, recommending this over the Allen wrench set. And I think if you did end up picking up one of these, you'll like it quite a bit. It's actually one of my new favorite tools. All right, guys, so that was a quick overview of the xCool screwdriver set. Like I said, I've been using it for a couple of projects I've been working on over the last week or so, and I've been liking it quite a bit, enough so that I decided to make this video. The adjustable torque setting makes it easy to work with for different applications, especially going between working with like your aluminum and your main boards. You obviously don't want to put too much torque on the main board, so just being able to kind of cap out what it can do kind of helps make sure you don't accidentally damage anything. And then all the bits being in one place with magnets does help quite a bit too, so you don't lose things. I mean, I know we all had those all-in-one kits that have the screwdriver and then all the different tips. But if you're like me, I end up losing all the tips or half the tips just because I don't put them back in there, or it's a pain to get them back into the spot, or I can't find the actual driver. So I like that this kit kind of has it all in one, and it almost forces you to put everything back in it, because if you don't, you can't actually charge it. So to me, this is a really nice little kit. Like I said, it's not necessarily a must-have, but it's definitely a nice-to-have, because, I mean, the must-have tools, a lot of them come with your printer, so your basic Allen wrenches and stuff. Those I would consider your required ones. But if you're doing any type of modifications, then this set is definitely a really nice-to-have one. If you have any questions about this screwdriver set or would like to see any other videos, go and leave a comment below or join us on Discord. Thanks.